Mark, good to see you again. But less than 36 hours on from what was a very professional performance from your side, and you got the job done. I'll start with how you are bodies-wise, and particularly if there's any more clarity on Matt Derbishire's situation.
He's going for a scan this morning. That's the earliest we could get him in. So we're hoping for some good news on it. Obviously, he's going to be out for some kind of period, but hopefully not a big chunk of time. He's come in today. I've seen him just shortly before coming here, and he felt in a better place, a lot more comfortable with it. So we're hopeful, but we'll have to wait and see what the scan says and be led by that. Hopefully, as I said, it shouldn't take him out of the team and the squad for a big chunk of time. Hopefully we can get him back, because I think in his short time here and the amount of game time he's had, I think everybody's seen what a good player he is, and the impact certainly that he was having just prior to the injury. So yeah, it's a shame for him, but he's a fit lad. He'll come back. I just had a conversation with him. He says he comes back from injuries very, very quickly. He always has done right throughout his career. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully he's not out for a significant period.
How are the rest of the squadron? Any more knocks to come from Tuesday?
No, pretty much everybody else was okay. Knocks and bumps and bruises, obviously, that you get from a well-fought game, but nothing that should keep anybody else from being available at the weekend.
How close is Manny to a return?
Well, Manny will tell you he's very close. Yeah, he's training fully. He had a couple of weeks with no contact, which is what you always do when somebody's coming back from a big injury like Manny had. So he's come through that period. Now he's fully integrated. He needs game time, obviously, and hopefully we'll organise a game next week to get him some minutes, competitive minutes, so that will help. So we'll see where he is after that. Obviously that will be his first real game against any different type of opposition. It's different within, obviously, the training group. Everybody knows the circumstances. Sometimes there'll be challenges that the lads have backed out of, because obviously we don't want to compromise Manny, or certainly didn't in those early sessions. So that won't be the case once he goes up against outside opposition. So we'll see how he goes on it. Given how he's been training and how well he looks in training, I would touch wood hope he'll get through that quite comfortably.
Do you have a game in mind?
A first team game?
Yeah.
No. I think we just got to take it game by game in terms of his preparation and see where we're at. But he looks good. Given the severity of the injury, I think it's been really great that he's been able to come through almost every part of his rehab without any setbacks, and that's unusual. So that's credit to Manny and his professionalism.
Did you expect to see him at all this season?
Well, we hoped to, but everything needed to fall into place for him to have any chance of being able to do that. And as I've just said, he's come through every stage of the rehabilitation and hasn't had those setbacks that can occur. So we were given a date of the end of February, I think, where he would be available to possibly train, and went bang on schedule for that. So yeah, he's done really well. Really pleased for him. Obviously, we all remember the circumstance of the injury and the timing of it, and it was a real setback for him and for everybody at the club, because we knew he was going to be a big miss, but he's over the majority of the work that he's had to do now. So yeah, he's just building up match fitness is the key now.
I imagine it's a point we'll talk more about closer to his return, but where do you see him best fitting into the midfield dynamic that you've now got in the side?
Well, Manny's versatile. He's got a lot of strings to his bow. He can play in any number of the positions in midfield. He can be predominantly, he sees himself as an 8, but can play as effective in wider positions as well. So it gives me versatility and different options. So always useful to have players like that. So and his personality as well is an important part of what he is as a player and as a person. And that's the big thing that we've probably missed on a match day. So yeah, it'd be good to get him back involved if we can. But we won't force that issue. We don't have to. Yeah. We've got options, but clearly for Manny and for him as a player who wants to get back involved, it's important that he sees that he continues to progress towards that end.
That word personality, and add that to the word vocal as well, seems like an area that's really improved in the side since the January window, and it was probably best on show on Tuesday, and how you navigated your way through that game. Was it a game where you needed that vocal element and added personality?
I think we've added to it. I think even you could go back to probably the Stockport game as well, which was a difficult away fixture, and we had to obviously be strong and be together, and good communication helps that to get you a positive result. So we've been building in that regard. We've still added to it. Obviously, Stubbsy coming in is another addition to that part of the mix that you need to have if you're going to be successful. So yeah, there's a marked increase in the volume in the dressing room now. It's commented on by almost everybody at the club now. Support staff recognise it and see it firsthand, and we discuss it because it's changed for the better. So yeah, we're pleased. We've got good guys in there, guys that have been round the block, guys that have had promotions, understand what it takes, and we can use that knowledge.
Does that help navigate through the emotional state of a game as well? Then I talk more about maybe how the emotions are in the stands during games as well.
Well, we've got strong characters, strong players, and they know what works, and we try and execute every time we play a game. It's I think it's very difficult. I mean, case in point, on Tuesday we played really well. The opposition haven't really laid a glove on us. We've kept them really away from our goal. We had a couple of occasions. Very difficult over a 90-minute period to not allow one or two chances. It's impossible not to allow that. But what you have to do is make sure that if decent balls coming into your box, you're tracking runners, you're running people under the ball or past the ball. And so even if it looks a good ball and a little bit dangerous, the reality is that actually we've defended those situations quite well. So in the full 90 minutes, a couple of moments of intakes of breath, I'll take that because I'll back our defenders to defend correctly in those situations. And as always, they've still got to beat Harry. So I thought Tuesday we put in a really good performance. Like I say, possession-wise, 60. I thought after the game it was about 56, but actually it's higher. It was about 62, 63% percentage. So yeah, it was a comfortable game. I was quite relaxed after the game. I thought it was a job well done. So the emotion I felt was of pride and satisfaction of a job well done. That
control and that comfort within the game, add to that the patience as well that you showed in your play. Is that what you're looking for from your side? And is that what City fans can expect from between now and the end of the season?
Well, we want to control the game like we did. And I think in terms of what the opposition were trying to do and what they were able to create, I mean, it's very rare that you're able to stop shots on goal. I mean, sometimes stats can screw the perception of people when like a shot from 50 yards and it rolled into the keeper's hand is viewed as a shot on target. So you have to take stats with a pinch of salt sometimes. But for the most part, they illustrate the makeup of the game and how the game panned out. And for us to stop the opposition, have one shot on target and no corners, then that's a real positive. So I just think the management of the game is a big thing. It's not something that I've decided to do in the last few weeks. At the beginning of the season, I was talking about having more control and not having so many transitions, so many periods where the game is at risk, because anything can happen if there's transfer of possession, and that's when the game becomes loose and mistakes are more readily made. So I think certainly Tuesday, I thought we got the mix right. The opposition didn't want to really engage us higher up, so we had to be patient and draw them out, which I did. We did, and that's what I want from them. But that balance of hitting balls long when we have to and when we're under pressure, we've done that. I think we're better at that now than maybe we were at the beginning of the year. So the balance is more beneficial to us, and that's why I think we're quite comfortable in the way we're playing at the moment.
Barrow, the opposition on Saturday. So what do you expect from them going into that game?
Well, they're a good side, and they'll look at the season up to this point and think up to a point they would be pleased, I would imagine. But they're just on a little bit of a run now where they're struggling to get points on the board. So we've got to be mindful of that. We're damaged by Rochdale and the circumstances of that game, who went on a great run. So we can't think just because Barrow aren't accruing points as readily as they were at the beginning of the season that it'll be an easier fixture for us, because it won't be. But I think if we are able to, like I said, have that control, score at good moments in the game, I think we can disappoint teams. And if Barrow are lacking confidence in terms of what they're trying to do and we get our noses in front, then I think, given how we're able to control games for the most part, I think they'll find it difficult to come back at us. But we've got to be mindful. I mean, harking back to the reverse of the fixture, obviously it was a little bit dramatic towards the end, and we didn't come out with any rewards. So we'd like to address that if we can.
Well, it goes without saying, but a win, of course, would cap off what would have been a fine week for you. 3 wins, and you talk about that word momentum. It feels like you're generating it at the right time of the season.
Yeah, we feel in a good place in terms of obviously how we've played, and obviously you get more confidence if results go along with how you feel you've played. So, and we're getting those at the moment, and I just think we're at the stage of the season that we're close enough to realise that if we can go on a run, then we can certainly affect the ambitions that we have. We all have, and we all had at the beginning of the season. So just through my own experience when I was a player, and I don't like harking back to my time, so long ago, but from my distant memory, I seem to recall this stage of the season when you're going for Premier Leagues or whatever, you get to a point where you just tick games off, and you go from the next game, you get that done, then you go on to the next one and the next one, and all of a sudden you get a momentum to your play and a momentum to your results that enable you to really drive where you want to go towards the end of the season. So we've started this period really well, in my view. Good signs that we understand where we are in the season and what's ahead of us.
And the incentive is right there because of how the table lies now. You are very much within touching distance of not only the playoffs but the top 3. Yeah,
we've got good opportunities now. We've clawed a little bit of the situation back in terms of we're in touching distance of automatics. That's where we wanted to be. So it's down to us. We've got an opportunity. We need to take it if we can.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
With the table being as close as it is, though, the reverse side of being within touching distance is other teams, you have a slip-up, other teams overtake you again. So it is a case of keeping that momentum going, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of good teams in and around us who they'll have the same ambition as us, and I just sense that our group is really focused on what we have to do, and I think we have the ability within the group to go on a run at this stage. I think that's the aim. We talk about it. There'll be teams that will try and stop us having the ability to do that, but our intention is to continue in the same vein, continue this run if we can, and see where it takes us.
And presumably it's something you can't enforce on the side, it's something that comes from the confidence of playing together.
Yeah, confidence. We all know confidence is a huge thing in football, and I just think at the moment, on the back of not just these two games, games prior to that as well, I think that confidence in what we're doing and the group that is going to be given the responsibility to get the performances and results that we need. I think that confidence throughout the club is growing, and I think we can tap into that.
You must be pleased with how seamlessly the new signings have slotted into everything.
Yeah, they were a certain type of player I was looking for, and the guys we brought in have come with, first and foremost, good ability. That's always the main criteria in terms of what you're looking for. Certainly what I look for. They've got to be able to play, but the character and the personality of the guys as well, that was important. And talk about improving the leadership of the group. We've certainly done that. So we're pleased with what we've added. Clearly the squad wasn't a weak squad anyway, so to add good quality and good leadership to it is a real plus.
Good luck.
Mark, the other night, obviously, you touched on bringing Andy Cook back and the decision to take him out and sort of refresh him. I mean, I think he's come back and scored in all 3 games since he was back. I mean, I think it was a question that we got asked at every game is, why is Andy Cook not playing? Why is Andy Cook not playing all this? Was it a big call for yourself at the time, even though you knew that perhaps he wasn't as sharp as he had been? Was it still because you're taking out the guy who scored, I think, 13 league goals at the time?
Yeah, I suppose from the outside looking in, but I was just watching Andy in games and in training sessions, and I just felt it was the right time. It wasn't based on just one game; it was based over a period of time where he wasn't quite at the level we know he can be, and that can happen. That run of form was exceptional, so it was difficult to maintain that. But I think people can see now that he's come back and he's absolutely flying. And I said after the game, I mean, a lot of work that he does for the team sometimes gets overlooked, and it's always a discussion about Andy's goals and what he does for the team in that regard. But I thought on Tuesday his actual link-up play and his understanding of what was required was really good, and I think that's a consequence of him feeling more confident, physically better as well, because his work rate was really high. So I think everybody can understand at times players need to be taken out just to refresh and go again. We should now have Andy from now to the end of the season fit and raring to go.
I was going to say, it sort of looked very much like he's sort of basically at the peak he was earlier in the season now, doesn't he? He's sort of come back.
Yeah, he's a confidence player, and I think that's the thing that was getting affected a little bit. So his confidence just went, and when that gets a little bit dissipated, diluted, and Andy struggles to deal with that on occasions. So he's very much a confidence player. So it's about maintaining that confidence, and when he's playing well, scoring goals, he's as confident as anybody, and that's why he becomes a real difficult player for opposition teams to cope with. So he's in a good place at the moment.
On the flip side, obviously, opponents, when they see him on the team sheet now and they see the run of form, he's back in. You know, straight away you're in their heads a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, and credit to Andy that he's got that reputation at this level. He's always scored goals, and when you get him on a run again, then teams have to sometimes deal with the threat that Andy poses, and sometimes that can maybe stop Andy having the chances he wants, but it opens up areas of the field for other people. You look at Jamie Walker now, back to really good form and scoring goals as well. There's no coincidence that they both scoring, because if as an opposition team you're looking after one threat, then sometimes you can leave the door open for somebody else. So hopefully that will continue.
I was going to ask you briefly about Sam Stubbs. Obviously, he's come in. You were sort of saying he's obviously very fit. He hadn't played for a while, but the fact that he's come through 2 games, particularly very physical game like Saturday, and played so well in them. I mean, it must be good for his own confidence, his own self-belief that he's got through those games.
Yeah, he's a good player first and foremost. Like it's back to his ability as a player, but you can't sometimes replicate. Well, absolutely you can. Not sometimes, absolutely you can't replicate playing against Stevenage away and Tranmere at home in training sessions. You've got to actually play in them and get your match fitness up. So for him to have two really difficult fixtures to come through, and I thought he passed the test with flying colours, if I'm honest, and showed what a really good player he is. So he's another one who's come in, been able to hit the ground running because he's a good professional, he's fit and well, and he was ready to go. So I don't have really any issue with putting him back into a team straight away.
And he's got that great hunger as well, hasn't it? Because I mean, he's enjoyed his promotion last season, then had the frustration of this season, hasn't he? So you know, you've got a player there who's absolutely desperate to be out there every minute.
Yeah, and you see that in the way he approaches his work and how he is around the group. He drives himself on and he drives other people on. So yeah, really pleased that he's with us. He's going to be a big player for us from now to the end of the season.
When you were signing him, obviously looking at the CV, it's a no-brainer. But was there a bit of a worry about the games he's missed, or was that a concern?
Well, yeah, but I mean, sat down with him and I just, because you touch on all aspects in terms of his career and whatever, I was very comfortable with where he felt he was fitness-wise, and nothing I've seen in terms of how he prepares for games or his ability to display what he can do in match days. Nothing's undermined my confidence in him being able to do the job that's asked of him. So yeah, he's a good professional, looks after himself, and he'll make himself available.
How's Romilly doing, by the way?
Yeah, Rom's okay. It was a nasty one. We had to be careful with it. Obviously, you don't mess around with any damage to eyes and whatever. So he couldn't train, and he's still been taken out of contact as we speak. So today might actually be the first time he's in full contact again. But we'll have to check on that. But failing that, then obviously we'll see next week. Next week should be a clear week for him.
Obviously with Doncaster now gaining a bit of points back and sitting 2 points behind Bradford themselves, does that make the Yorkshire derby even more important to win?
We're jumping ahead a little bit, but yeah, it's a big game. We'll look forward to it. We're going to have huge support on the day, so we're really looking forward to going up against them. They're a good club, obviously. Had a disappointing year last year, again dropping out of League One, so everybody fully expected that they'd have a real go to get back this year. Doesn't seem like in the early part that was going to happen, but they're well placed, like ourselves, to have a run at it. So be a difficult fixture, but one we're looking forward to. Like I said, we'll have a huge following there. So we've had some good away trips right through the season that we've enjoyed against difficult opposition where we've gone and won the game. So that will be our attention again, hopefully.
Okay. I was jumping back to this weekend with Barrow. Last time we played them, second game of the season, you lost 3-2 away. How pleased are you with the progress that your team has made throughout the season, and is there still progress to be made within the squad?
Yeah, it was early in the season, and we just got done later on in the game. We showed decent ability on the day and got back on level terms right late in the game, and then just had a lapse right at the end of the game where we allowed them back in and they took the 3 points. But we've clearly come on as a group and as a squad since that day. We've added different players and different strengths, and we've had the benefit of playing together for 28, 29 games now. You have to remember that group of players predominantly were new to the club at that point, so we're still in the process of understanding what way we were going to go and which way was going to help us. So yeah, we've come on leaps and bounds from that day.
Is there still progress to be made towards the end of the season?
Yeah. You can always improve. You never take a step back and think that you're the done deal. That don't happen in football. You have to keep on progressing, making sure that what you're able to produce, you're able to do that on a regular basis, and you have to keep standards high and make sure your levels are good.
Is there any particular position that you think you might need to strengthen for next season if you do get promoted to League One?
I'll look at that nearer the time. We're strong at the moment. We're strong in terms of personnel at this level. So let's hopefully we have that question to ask maybe later in the day. Okay. All done, guys?
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers, man.